I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show, we have Holger Arians, the CEO of Banksa. Holger, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Ashton. Great to be here.
You're very welcome. Let's dive into cryptocurrency payments, on-ramps, off-ramps. How do we get the next million people into crypto and get them to be able to buy it easily? I'm excited to hear your insights into this part of the industry, and I'd love to just break open the conversation for those who haven't heard of Banksa on what you and your team are working on, and then we'll dive into everything cryptocurrency payments.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Let me give you a quick overview of what Banksa does. So we're a fiat on and off ramp. We convert fiat currency, anything USD, AUD, Euro, many other currencies into crypto, any sort of coin that you would like to buy. The way we do that is we're integrated with all the major exchanges, Binance, Huobi, KuCoin, OKX, the wallets. So that's where you find us, and just click on a button, buy crypto, and we do all the conversion, we do the payment, we do a fraud assessment, and we settle the crypto right in your wallet and that platform. So it's a very quick, seamless process. Yeah, we're working with many of the major platforms, centralized exchanges, wallets, and Web3, obviously.
Great to hear. And I'm curious, how long has your team been working on this, and have you seen an increasing trend in new people or recurring purchases of people buying crypto through fiat?
Yeah, good question. Look, we've been in the space since January 2014, so we're quite veterans in the payments and regulation space, because the moment you touch fiat, you have to also deal with the whole regulatory part. So we have a number of licenses, given that we are on the ground in many countries. Over time, we've really just seen more and more adoption, and I believe the recent rally around NFTs has really been a great relatable consumer case for the first time in crypto, in my view, that people from all sorts of life have really seen the value and the use cases more so for crypto outside of technology and finance. And I found that just super encouraging, and we've seen the numbers. Banksa has just recently launched a direct fiat to NFT checkout. So
wow.
That's for us just, our mission is to onboard the next billion users to crypto, like you said. And we can only do that by removing friction and optimizing the user experience. So yeah, it's been going really, really well.
That's great to hear. And yeah, you traditionally think of people purchasing cryptocurrency just for the sake of holding it, whether it's through an exchange. But I feel like as of more recently, NFT marketplaces like OpenSea have had huge volumes, and a lot of those people that are buying NFTs and digital art weren't involved in the finance industry or in cryptocurrency before, but they sort of need that to purchase it. So is that like a bigger trend for Banksa moving forward? Do you think that trend will continue?
Yeah, totally. So traditionally, we've seen the users coming out of the centralized exchanges, the Binances and so on of the world. Now we're seeing more the users living in the wallets, because you can take your wallet wherever. It's more so the utility that's now driving the purchases. The investment case will always be there. And I just feel that there are just so many more use cases than we had in previous years. And again, we've been doing that for more than 8 years. So we've seen many cycles, many different use cases, but it's never been so broad. And crypto winter here or there, I think the fundamentals are stronger than ever. And that just excites us very, very much.
That's great to hear from you. And you mentioned about USD, Australian dollar, all these different currencies, and the regulation side of it. Obviously, it's a pain, but it's something that's important. And I'm curious on if where your company is located matters, and what are the main countries that you had to get regulation in where you're seeing the most people on ramping?
Yeah, good question, Ashton. Regulation matters so much because we need to know the guidelines of how to operate, where to operate. And it's just been a very, very slow moving target. We are headquartered here in Australia, but we are very much a global company. But in Australia, the regulation came in April 2018, which was globally really, really early. We in fact helped shaping it because we were a founding board member of the Australian Industry Association, Blockchain Australia. So we work actively with the regulator, and we're regulated by AUSTRAC, which is the Transaction Monitoring Authority. So it's not a license, it's a registration. You have to do the monitoring, the reporting, and all the right things. You have to have your policies. But it's been a very collaborative approach. And we've then taken that knowledge from the early days into other countries. We're now registered or licensed in a number of European countries. Canada just started in the US with our own licenses. We've opened offices in Brazil for LATAM, obviously, and then Turkey. And currently looking much more at the Asian countries, which is a huge opportunity, but still quite tricky. And my view is just it needs to go hand in hand with the regulators. I think we can learn from each other very, very much. And again, it's a moving target. Our industry is a moving target. So we need to work really closely together to get some sort of guidance and transparency, because we want to do the right thing. One thing which is also important about Banksa, we're a publicly listed company. So we listed the company last year in Canada on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And there was a decision we made because we wanted to be transparent, wanted to be audited. And the banks we're working with, the regulators we're working with, they really appreciate that. And our partners do so as well, because we want to do the right thing. We want to certainly push into new territories, but that can only go in concert with all players in the ecosystem, and the regulators are a key part of that.
Great information, Holger, about which countries you're expanding into. And I have a follow-up question to that, because I've seen the innovation in Southeast Asia, and the technology seems to be way ahead for mobile payments and WePay, and the younger generation just looking to use cryptocurrency and technology-based payments. So I feel like that would be a great place for on-ramping into cryptocurrency. But at the same time, you also mentioned Brazil and the Latin American countries. We've seen, for an example, El Salvador, some of the other surrounding countries around there seem to be moving forward as well with regulating Bitcoin as a currency. And a lot of the people in those countries in South America are also turning to Bitcoin as an alternative from hyperinflating national currencies. Sort of two different stories going on. Do you see those as both great opportunities, or are you leaning towards one or the other as a further growth for Banksa?
Yeah, it's a great question. In general, I think what's important to say is that the adoption of cryptocurrency is just very, very high in those countries for various reasons, hyperinflation or just general technology adoption. And we believe that in Latin America, we can just provide another form of payments, cross-border payments, savings. There are so many use cases that will dramatically change the status quo in many of these countries. In developed countries, here in Australia, for example, if I want to send you money, Australian dollars or $1,000, I can do that in various ways through banks and whatever's available today. But emerging countries don't necessarily have that. So you see the real impact of cryptocurrencies, digital assets, play out much more in those countries. And that, I think, is super exciting, because here we use it much more for trading, while there is it actually solves problems in those countries. And those countries are huge. The adoption is huge. They're open to this technology. They often skip bank accounts completely to get into cryptocurrency directly. So there are just so many use cases that we are seeing coming out of those countries, if it's Latin America or even Asia. And there is just huge potential for us.
Great insights, Holger. And I feel like especially important in emerging countries and people that are trying to save money, one of the faucets on which people decide and how they're going to on-ramp is the fees, and how expensive is it going to be. People are already paying credit card transaction fees on their credit card, trying to lower the fees. I'm curious about fees for on-ramping into cryptocurrency through Banksa, and if that's one of the competitive reasons that people choose Banksa over other on-ramping solutions?
Really good question. Fees are very important, and we're what we do, the way we are different to other on-ramps is we offer local payment methods because we are local in those markets. So we have people on the ground in a number of markets globally, in order to be able to offer local payment methods. And a local payment method is often a bank transfer. So think about the Netherlands as an example. In the Netherlands, we are on the ground with an office. We have an entity. That entity has directors. With that, you can get a local bank account. And with that local bank account, you can have the local bank transfer, which is called Ideal. To be a crypto company in the Netherlands, you need to be regulated. That's a 12-month process with the Dutch National Bank. So quite a process. And we are going through these processes because we believe a local bank transfer or local trusted transfer is much more, trusted for the consumer than a credit card. It's much cheaper, like you just said. You can push higher volumes through a bank transfer than a credit card, and again, it's cheaper. You can do the off-ramping as well back to your bank accounts. If you want to convert your Bitcoin or stablecoin back to fiat, we can push that to your bank account. So all those characteristics really speak for having the local bank transfers, but it's hard. It's hard to have people on the ground and the bank accounts. We have a general bit of a challenge with banks in our industry. That's a global phenomenon. But if you do the right thing, if you work with the regulators and the banks, and again, it helps that we're a publicly listed company and we're all about transparency and regulation, that provides consumer trust. It provides the local onboarding experience, and it also helps. And I'm thinking about our partners, the Binances of the world. It helps with conversions. A credit card conversion in our industry, because it's like a high risk industry, the credit card conversions are quite low. So if you have a local bank transfer from one bank account to the other almost always goes through. So conversions are really, really important. And with this approach to have local bank transfers in many, many countries, which we offer on top of, you can always do credit card with Banksa as well, or Apple Pay or Google Pay. But if you're in the Netherlands or any other country where we have a local bank account, you can push that through your bank. It's much cheaper and almost always goes through. So that's a huge advantage, and that's why Banksa is quite unique.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And for especially people, again, in emerging countries that are just trying to dip their toes in and try to get crypto for the first time, is there a minimum amount that they need to purchase to make it worth it for the fees? And I guess while we're at it, on the flip side, for people that don't really worry about fees, is there a maximum amount? Can you purchase $1 million through your bank, or max out your credit cards really easily? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. Look, we have different thresholds in different countries. That's really based on the payment method you use. So in Brazil, for example, it's quite low. It's around $30. I think in the Netherlands, it's around 50 euros. So it differs depending on the payment method and the bank that is connected to it. In terms of the maximums, that's really interesting. So again, differs on the provider that we are using, the bank we're working with. But generally, what we're seeing is these thresholds go quite high. And what we are doing as well at Banksa is we can onboard corporate customers. So if you have a family trust, or if you want to buy crypto through your company, or you're an institution, family office, we can verify the identity, do the right things for the regulator, onboard you as a customer, and you can do the transfer. And you'd probably, as a corporate user, want to do a higher value transfer, which you don't really want to use your credit card for. Mm-hmm. So you can do that through local bank transfer, and that's really a big advantage as well.
Mm-hmm. Great to hear. And usually people that are purchasing large amounts, they'll go through an OTC desk or like a white glove service, and it really depends, but sometimes they're holding the funds, or sometimes they get it from an exchange. How is your service similar or different to that?
Yeah, so for us, it's really we're living inside those platforms, the partner platforms. So the big exchanges and wallets. So that's where you find Banksa. And if you've transacted with us once, let's say in KuCoin, and you are tomorrow transacting on Binance, we already know you as a customer. So you don't have to go through the whole KYC process again. And you can, because people rarely use just one platform. They're doing various things in crypto, and that's the end game as well. You everything we do today in the real world, you're going to do in the digital asset space, and being able to always upload or convert your fiat to crypto and the other way with a trusted partner that moves with you. I think that's a big advantage and difference to a broker.
Definitely. And how does Banksa continue to grow, or what's the best way that you guys are continuing to grow? Is it just adding more partners and more exchanges, or are there other avenues as well?
Yeah, definitely. So we're adding certainly more partners on the exchange side, but also wallets, certainly, because Web3 wallets are where the users live, where we see a lot of adoption, the MetaMasks of the world. Gaming is super interesting, and that's something we're looking into, also because we've launched the direct fiat to NFT checkout. And the whole idea is, let's just remove all the friction, because we want to onboard the next billion users, and they don't need to know about a lot that's going on in the middle. So we take care of all that, and we just let you buy that NFT, that in-game asset right away. I think that's just a huge advantage for users that just don't, they just want to play their game, and they don't necessarily need to dive into the crypto world first. So that's something we're really looking at very much. We've recently done a partnership with Hendrix Gin, the gin brand out of Europe, and they had they launched their own NFT series by a Belgian designer. So Banksa was able to facilitate those payments and the NFT purchases with our infrastructure. And what I want to say with that is we see many more Web2 brands or traditional companies enter this space, exploring. And Banksa is a bridge. We're really the gateway in and out, because we have the ability to onboard users in a safe way for the user, but also in a regulated way, so that there's peace of mind for those companies that want to explore. So that's really what's next for us, and then want to get into more countries, certainly here in the Asia Pacific room, with local payments to onboard users there with the highest conversions as well.
Incredible, Holger. And for people that, I guess you have so many partners, I was going to say, for people that are interested in trying out the on-ramp, do you guys also do like a direct just on your platform or app, or is it just through the partner exchanges?
We have our website, banksa.com, where people can also try us and buy crypto straight away. Absolutely. You'll have to bring your own wallet, because if we embed it in a partner exchange, we send it to that partner's wallet. But yeah, people can definitely try us out, see how it works, and they can send me an email if they're interested, if they're builders and really don't want to deal with the whole banking and regulatory stuff, just want to plug Banksa in. They can send me an email, holger@banksa.com, and we can take care of that.
Sounds great, Holger. I'll leave the Banksa links and the socials as well in the description box below. Thank you so much for the insights into everything cryptocurrency payments. All the best with Banksa moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thanks so much, Ashton. It's great to be here.